Greetings from all of us here at Grace Evangelistic Ministries. We want to bring you a word of encouragement in a time such as this. Last time I asked the question, what do we do when we run into suffering or when suffering hits you like a bullet? What do you do? One thing you don't do is to sleep in your bed and don't come out. That's what you don't want to do. Satan will rejoice. The Bible tells us to do a few things. One of the things is to rejoice. James chapter 1, verse 2 tells us to rejoice when you encounter various trials. Another thing the Bible tells us is to pray. Philippians 4, 6, and 7 tells us to pray. Do not, under any circumstances, worry about anything. That includes your suffering. With thanksgiving, bring it to prayer. Another thing the Bible tells us, and this is to give thanks. 1 Thessalonians 5:18 says it's so blunt. Give thanks in all things. Underscore the word all things. All. He didn't say pick and choose. All things. For this is the will of God towards you. A better translation. Towards you. This is God's will towards you. In other words, whatever comes into your life is the will of God. And you have to give thanks as a child of God. How do we do that? Could you imagine? Let me just take you back to the time of Joseph. Could you imagine Joseph being picked up by his brother and sold to Egypt, being in a caravan, and him reading James 1:2, count it joy? Could you imagine Joseph laughing in the caravan, showing everybody his teeth? I can assure you one thing, Potiphar would not have bought him. They would have told Potiphar, well, this person is a crazy slave. He's mentally ill. I don't even know who would have bought him as a slave. But it's part of God's providence. When you say count it joy, it doesn't mean showing everybody your white teeth. It means a mental attitude of joy. You don't have to smile so that everybody knows that you are happy. But inside of you, you are so overjoyed. Why are you overjoyed? For one thing, you know that God knows what He is doing. You know that God has a plan that is working out in your life. You know that God never makes a mistake in His plan. You know that when God is finished with His plan, it's going to come out far better than anyone would ever imagine. When you know this truth, when this truth bubbles in your soul, it does nothing but produces joy. That's why it says, count it joy. Why should you give thanks? You give thanks because God, on the other hand, is working out a plan that when He's finished, will bring a result that will put a wow in your mouth. And anyone that knows about you, think about Job. Think about how many wows that the world have uttered concerning Job. That's part of the plan of God. We are in it. It is the will of God to thank Him even when it doesn't go the way you had envisioned. Still give Him thanks because He knows the best way to bring the best result. That's one thing. We don't know. Our ways are not His ways. The way we think will bring the best result is not necessarily the way that God chooses to bring the best result. Think about Joseph. If you had told Joseph, you're on your way. You see, that caravan actually is a limousine, a prime minister limousine. He would have laughed his way to Egypt. But actually was. He was on his way to being the prime minister of one of the greatest kingdoms on earth. And that was Egypt of his day. Think about Daniel. If you had told Daniel, you're on your way to becoming the prime minister of one of the greatest empires in the world, that's Babylon, he would have laughed too. But he knew that God was working out a plan that only him can fulfill. And so, what are you going through as a believer? Chill out, as people often say, chill out. Relax. He's under control. He will never fail you. He can't. That is not in his character. When he's finished with his plan, you're going to be even more joyous. That's why James says, count it joy when you run into various trials. When God is finished with you, you're going to be so happy. Until next time, may God richly bless you, my beloved brother and sister.